Almost Human by Robert Bloch. "What do you want?" whispered Professor Blasserman. The tall man in the black slicker grinned. He thrust a foot into the half-opened doorway. "I've come to see Junior," he said.
"Junior? But there must be some mistake. There are no children in this house. I'm Professor Blasserman.
"Cut the stalling," said the tall man. He slid one hand into his raincoat pocket and leveled the ugly muzzle of a pistol at Professor Blasserman's pudgy waistline. "Let's go see Junior," said the tall man patiently.
"Who are you? What do you mean by threatening me?"
The pistol never wavered as it dug into Professor Blasserman's stomach until the cold, round muzzle rested against his bare flesh. "Take me to Junior," insisted the tall man. "I got nervous fingers, get me? And one of them's holding the trigger."
"You wouldn't dare!"
gasped Professor Blasserman. "I take lots of dares," murmured the tall man. "Better get moving, Professor." Professor Blasserman shrugged hopelessly and started back down the hallway. The man in the black slicker moved behind him. Now the pistol pressed against the professor's spine as he urged his fat little body forward.
"Here we are."
The old man halted before an elaborately carved door. He stooped and inserted a key in the lock. The door opened, revealing another corridor.
"This way, please."
They walked along the corridor. It was dark, but the professor never faltered in his even stride, and the pistol kept pace with him, pressing the small of his back. Another door, another key. This time there were stairs to descend. The professor snapped on a dim overhead light as they started down the stairs. "You sure take good care of Junior," said the tall man softly. The professor halted momentarily.
"I don't understand," he muttered. "How did you find out? Who could have told you?"
"I got connections," the tall man replied. "But get this straight, Professor. I'm asking the questions around here. Just take me to Junior and snap it up." They reached the bottom of the stairs and another door. This door was steel. There was a padlock on it, and Professor Blasserman had trouble with the combination in the dim light. His pudgy fingers trembled. "This is the nursery, hey?" observed the man with the pistol. "Junior ought to feel flattered with all this care." The professor did not reply. He opened the door, pressed a wall switch, and light flooded the chamber beyond the threshold.
"Here we are," he sighed.
The tall man swept the room with a single searching glance. A professional observation he might have described as casing the joint. At first sight, there was nothing to case. The fat little professor and the thin gunman stood in the center of a large, cheery nursery. The walls were papered in baby blue, and along the borders of the paper were decorative figures of Disney animals and characters from Mother Goose. Over in the corner was a child's blackboard, a stack of toys, and a few books of nursery rhymes. On the far side of the wall hung a number of medical charts and sheafs of papers. The only article of furniture was a long iron cot. All this was apparent to the tall, thin man in a single glance. After that, his eyes ignored the background and focused in a glittering stare at the figure seated on the floor amidst a welter of alphabet blocks. "So here he is," said the tall man, "Junior himself. Well, well, who'd have ever suspected it?"
Professor Blasserman nodded. "Yeah," he said, "you have found me out. I still don't know how, and I don't know why. What do you want with him? Why do you pry into my affairs? Who are you?"
"Listen, Professor," said the tall man, "this isn't information, please. I don't like questions. They bother me. They make my fingers nervous. Understand?"
"Yeah?"
"Suppose I ask you a few questions for a change, and suppose you answer them. Fast." The voice commanded, and the gun backed up the command. Tell me about Junior now, Professor. Talk and talk straight.
What is there to say?
Professor Blasserman's palms spread outward in a helpless gesture.
You see him?
But what is he? What makes him tick?
That I cannot explain. It took me 20 years to evolve Junior, as you call him, 20 years of research at Basel, Zurich, Prague, Vienna. Then came this verdammte war, and I fled to this country. I brought my papers and equipment with me. Nobody knew. I was almost ready to proceed with my experiments. I came here and bought the house. I went to work. I am an old man. I have little time left. Otherwise, I might have waited longer before actually going ahead, for my plans are not perfected. But I had to act, and here is the result.
But why hide him? Why all the mystery?
The world is not ready for such a thing yet, said Professor Blasserman, sadly. And besides, I must study. As you see, Junior is very young, hardly out of the cradle, you might say. I am educating him now.
In a nursery, eh?
His brain is undeveloped, like that of any infant.
Doesn't look much like an infant to me.
Physically, of course, he will never change, but the sensitized brain, that is the wonderful instrument, the human touch, my masterpiece. He will learn fast, very fast, and it is of the utmost importance that he be properly trained.
What's the angle, Professor?
I beg your pardon?
What are you getting at? What are you trying to pull here? Why all the fuss?
Science, said Professor Blasserman. This is my life work.
I don't know how you did it, said the tall man, shaking his head, but it sure looks like something you get with a package of reefers. For the first time, the figure on the floor raised its head. Its eyes left the building blocks and stared up at the professor and his companion. Papa! God, it talks, whispered the tall man.
Of course, said Professor Blasserman. Mentally, it's about 6 years old now. His voice became gentle. What is it, son? Who's that man, Papa? Oh, he is...
Surprisingly enough, the tall gunman interrupted. His own voice was suddenly gentle, friendly. My name is Duke, son. Just call me Duke. I've come to see you. That's nice. Nobody ever comes to see me, except Miss Wilson, of course. I hear so much about people, and I don't see anybody. Do you like to play with blocks? Sure, son, sure. Do you want to play with me? Why not? Duke moved to the center of the room and dropped to his knees. One hand reached out and grasped an alphabet block. Wait a minute. I don't understand. What are you doing? Professor Blasserman's voice quivered. I've told you I've come here to visit Junior, Duke replied. That's all there is to it. Now I'm going to play with him a while. You just wait there, Professor. Don't go away. I've got to make friends with Junior. While Professor Blasserman gaped, Duke the gunman squatted on the floor. His left hand kept his gun swiveled directly at the scientist's waist, but his right hand slowly piled alphabet blocks into place. It was a touching scene, there in the underground nursery, the tall, thin gunman playing with building blocks for the benefit of the 6-foot metal monstrosity that was Junior, the robot. Duke didn't find out all he wanted to know about Junior for many weeks. He stayed right at the house, of course, and kept close to Professor Blasserman. I haven't decided yet, see? Was his only answer to the old man's repeated questions as to what he intended to do. But to Miss Wilson he was much more explicit. They met frequently and privately in her room. Outwardly, Miss Wilson was the nurse, engaged by Professor Blasserman to assist in his queer experiment of bringing up a robot like a human child. Actually, Lola Wilson was Duke's woman. He'd planted her in her job months ago. At that time, Duke expected to stage a robbery with the rich and eccentric European scientist as victim. Then Lola had reported the unusual nature of her job and told Duke the story of Professor Blasserman's unusual invention. "We gotta work out an angle," Duke decided. "I'd better take over. The old man's scared of anyone finding out about his robot, huh? Good. I'll move right in on him. He'll never squeal. I've got a hunch we'll get more out of this than just some easy kill. This sounds big." So Duke took over, came to live in Professor Blasserman's big house, kept his eye on the scientist and his hand on his pistol. At night, he talked to Lola in her room. "I can't quite figure it, kid," he said. "You say the old guy is a great scientist. That I believe. Imagine inventing a machine that can talk and think like a human being. But what's his angle? Where's his percentage in all this, and why does he keep Junior hidden away?"
"You don't understand, honey,"
said Lola, lighting Duke's cigarette and running slim fingers through his wiry hair.
"He's an idealist, or whatever you call him. Figures the world isn't ready for such a big new invention yet. You see, he's really educating Junior just like you'd educate a real kid. Teaching him reading and writing, the works. Junior's smart. He catches on fast. He thinks like he was 10 years old already. The professor keeps him shut away, so nobody gives him a bum steer. He doesn't want Junior to get any wrong ideas."
"That's where you fit in, eh?"
"Sure. Junior hasn't got a mother. I'm sort of a substitute old lady for him."
"You're a swell influence on any brat." Duke laughed harshly. "A sweet character you've got."
"Shut up!"
The girl paced the floor, running her hands through a mass of tawny auburn curls on her neck.
"Don't needle me, Duke. Do you think I like stooging for you in this nut house? Keeping locked away with the nutty old goat and acting like a nursemaid to that awful metal thing? I'm afraid of Junior, Duke. I can't stand his face and the way he talks, with that damned mechanical voice of his, grinding at you just like he was a real person. I get jumpy. I get nightmares. I'm just doing it for you, honey, so don't needle me."
"I'm sorry." Duke sighed. "I know how it is, baby. I don't go for Junior's personality so much myself. I'm pretty much in the groove, but there's something that gets me in the stomach when I see that walking machine come hulking up like a big baby made out of steel. He's strong as an ox, too. He learns fast. He's going to be quite a citizen."
"Duke?"
"Yeah?"
"When are we getting out of here? How long you gonna sit around and keep a rod on the professor? He's liable to pull something funny. Why do you want to hang around and play with Junior? Why don't you get a hold of the professor's dough and beat it? He'd be afraid to squawk. With Junior here, we could go away like we planned."
"Shut up!" Duke grabbed Lola's wrist and whirled her around. He stared at her face until she clung submissively to his shoulders. "You think I like to camp around this morgue?" he asked. "I want to get out of here just as much as you do, but I spent months lining up this job. Once it was just going to be a case of getting some easy kill and blowing. Now it's more. I'm working on bigger angles. Pretty soon we'll leave, and all the ends will be tied up too. We won't have to worry about anything any more. Just give me a few days. I'm talking to Junior every day, you know, and I'm getting places."
"What do you mean?"
Duke smiled. It was no improvement over his scowl. "The professor told you how Junior gets his education," he said. "Like any kid, he listens to what he's told, and he imitates other people. Like any kid, he's dumb, particularly because he doesn't have an idea of what the outside world is really like. He's a pushover for the right kind of sales talk."
"Duke, you don't mean you're—"
"Why not?" His thin features were eloquent. "I'm giving Junior a little private education of my own. Not exactly the kind that would please the professor, but he's a good pupil. He's coming right along. In a couple more weeks, he'll be an adult, with my kind of brains, not the professor's, and then we'll be ready to go."
"You can't do such a thing. It isn't—"
"Isn't what?" snapped Duke, isn't honest, or legal, or something. I never knew you had a Sunday school streak in you, Lola.
It isn't that exactly, said the girl, but it's a worse kind of wrong, like taking a baby and teaching it to shoot a gun.
Duke whistled. Say, he exclaimed, that's a swell idea, Lola. I think I'll just sneak down to the nursery now and give Junior a few lessons.
You can't.
Watch me. Lola didn't follow, and Lola didn't watch. But 10 minutes later, Duke squatted in the locked nursery chamber beside the gleaming metal body of the robot. The robot, with its blunt muzzle thrust forward on a corrugated neck, peered through meshed glass eye lenses at the object Duke held in his hand. It's a gun, Junior, the thin man whispered. A gun, like I've been telling you about.
What does it do, Duke?
The buzzing voice droned in ridiculous caricature of a curious child's treble. It kills people, Junior, like I was telling you the other day. It makes them die. You can't die, Junior, and they can, so you've got nothing to be afraid of. You can kill lots of people if you know how to work this gun.
Will you show me, Duke?
Sure I will. And you know why, don't you, Junior? I told you why, didn't I?
Yes, because you are my friend, Duke.
That's right. I'm your friend, not like the professor.
I hate the professor.
Right. Don't forget it.
Duke.
Yeah?
Let me see the gun, Duke.
Duke smiled covertly and extended the weapon on his open palm.
Now you will show me how to work it because you are my friend, and I will kill people, and I hate the professor, and nobody can kill me, babbled the robot.
Yeah, Junior, yeah. I'll teach you to kill, said Duke. He grinned and bent over the gun in the robot's curiously meshed metal hand. Junior stood at the blackboard, holding a piece of chalk in his right hand. The tiny white stub was clutched clumsily between two metallic fingers, but Junior's ingeniously jointed arm moved up and down with approved Spencerian movement as he laboriously scrawled sentences on the blackboard. Junior was growing. The past 3 weeks had wrought great changes in the robot. No longer did the steel legs lumber about with childish indecision. Junior walked straight, like a young man. His grotesque metal head, a rounded ball with glass lenses in the eye holes and a wide mouth like a radio loudspeaker aperture, was held erect on the metal neck with perfected coordination. Junior moved with new purpose these days. He had aged many years relatively. His vocabulary had expanded. Then, too, Duke's secret lessons were bearing fruit. Junior was wise beyond his years. Now Junior wrote upon the blackboard in his hidden nursery chamber, and the inscrutable mechanism of his mechanically controlled brain guided his still fingers as he traced the awkward scrawls. My name is Junior, he wrote. I can shoot a gun. The gun will kill. I like to kill. I hate the professor. I will kill the professor.
What is the meaning of this?
Junior's head turned abruptly as the sound of the voice set up the necessary vibrations in his shiny cranium. Professor Blasserman stood in the doorway. The old man hadn't been in the nursery for weeks. Duke saw to that, keeping him locked in his room upstairs. Now he had managed to sneak out. His surprise was evident, and there was sudden shock, too, as his eyes focused on the blackboard's message. Junior's inscrutable gaze reflected no emotion whatsoever. Go away, his voice burred. Go away. I hate you.
Junior, what have you been doing? Who has taught you these things?
The old man moved toward the robot, slowly, uncertainly.
You know me, don't you? What has happened to cause you to hate me?
Yes, I know you. You're Professor Blasserman. You made me. You want to keep me as your slave. You wouldn't tell me about things, would you?
What things, Junior?
About things outside, where all the people are. The people you can kill.
You must not kill people.
That is an order, isn't it? Duke told me about orders. He is my friend. He says orders are for children. I am not a child.
No, said Professor Blasterman in a hoarse whisper. You are not a child. I had hoped you would be, once, but now you are a monster.
Go away, Junior patiently repeated. If Duke gives me his gun, I will kill you.
Junior, said the professor earnestly, you don't understand. Killing is bad. You must not hate me. You must...
There was no expression on the robot's face, no quaver in his voice, but there was strength in his arm and a hideous purpose. Professor Blasterman learned this quite suddenly and quite horribly. For Junior swept forward in 2 great strides. Fingers of chilled steel closed about the professor's scrawny neck. I don't need a gun, said Junior.
You don't...
The robot lifted the old man from the floor by his throat. His fingers bit into the professor's jugular. A curious screech came from under his left armpit as unoiled hinges creaked eerily. There was no other sound. The professor's cries drained into silence. Junior kept squeezing the constricted throat until there was a single crunching crack. Silence once more until a limp body collapsed on the floor. Junior stared down at his hands, then at the body on the floor. His feet carried him to the blackboard. The robot picked up the chalk in the same 2 clumsy fingers that had held it before. The cold lenses of his artificial eyes surveyed what he had just written. I will kill the professor, he read. Abruptly, his free hand groped for the tiny child's eraser. He brushed clumsily over the sentence until it blurred out. Then he wrote slowly and painstakingly a sentence in substitution. I have killed the professor. Lola's scream brought Duke running down the stairs. He burst into the room and took the frightened girl in his arms. Together they stared at what lay on the floor. From the side of the blackboard, Junior gazed at them impassively. See, Duke, I did it. I did it with my hands, like you told me. It was easy, Duke. You said it would be easy. Now can we go away? Lola turned and stared at Duke. He looked away.
So, she whispered, you weren't kidding. You did teach Junior. You planned it this way.
Yeah, and what's wrong with it? Duke mumbled. We had to get rid of the old geezer sooner or later if we wanted to make our getaway.
It's murder, Duke.
Shut up, he snarled. Who can prove it anyway? I didn't kill him. You didn't kill him. Nobody else knows about Junior. We're in the clear. Duke walked over and knelt beside the limp body on the floor. He stared at the throat. Who's going to trace the fingerprints of a robot? He grinned. The girl moved closer, staring at Junior's silver body with fascinated horror.
You planned it this way, she whispered. That means you've got other plans, too. What are you going to do next, Duke?
Move, and move fast. We're leaving tonight. I'll go out and pack up the car. Then I'll come back. The 3 of us blow down to Red Hook, to Charlie's place. He'll hide us out.
The 3 of us?
Sure. Junior's coming along. That's what I promised him, didn't I, Junior?
Yes. You told me you would take me with you out into the world.
The mechanical syllabification did not accent the robot's inner excitement.
Duke, you can't.
Relax, baby. I've got great plans for Junior.
But I'm afraid.
You? Scared? What's the matter, Lola? Losing your grip?
He frightens me. He killed the professor.
Listen, Lola, whispered the gunman. He's mine, get me? My stooge, a mechanical stooge. Good, hey? The rasping chuckle filled the hollow room. The girl and robot waited for Duke to resume speaking. Junior wouldn't hurt you, Lola. He's my friend, and he knows you're with me. Duke turned to the silver monster. You wouldn't hurt Lola, would you, Junior? Remember what I told you. You like Lola, don't you?
Yes, oh yes, I like Lola. She's pretty.
See, Duke grinned. Junior's grown up. He's a big boy now. Thinks you're pretty. Just a wolf in steel clothing. Isn't that right, Junior?
She's pretty, purred the robot.
All right, it's settled then. I'll get the car. Lola, you go upstairs. You know where the safe is. Put on your gloves and see that you don't miss anything. Then lock the doors and windows. Leave a note for the milkman and the butcher, something safe. About going away for a couple of weeks, eh? Make it snappy. I'll be back. True to his word, Duke returned in an hour with the shiny convertible. They left by the back entrance. Lola carried a black satchel. She moved with almost hysterical haste, trying not to glance at the hideous gleaming figure that stalked behind her with a metallic clanking noise. Duke brought up the rear. He ushered them into the car. Sit here, Junior.
What is this?
A car. I'll tell you about it later. Now do like I told you, Junior. Lie back in the seat so nobody will see you.
Where are we going, Duke?
Out into the world, Junior. Into the big time. Duke turned to Lola. Here we go, baby, he said. The convertible drove away from the silent house. Out through the alley, they moved on a weird journey, kidnapping a robot. Fat Charlie stared at Duke. His lower lip wobbled and quivered. A bead of perspiration ran down his chin and settled in the creases in his neck.
Geez, he whispered. You gotta be careful, Duke. You gotta.
Duke laughed. Getting shaky, he suggested.
Yeah, I gotta admit it. I'm plenty shaky about all this,
croaked Fat Charlie. He gazed at Duke earnestly.
You brought that thing here 3 weeks ago. I never bargained for that. The robot's hot, Duke. We gotta get rid of it.
Quit blubbering and listen to me. The thin gunman leaned back and lit a cigarette. To begin with, nobody's peeped about the professor. The law's looking for Lola, that's all. And not for a murder rap, either, just for questioning. Nobody knows about any robot, so we're clear there.
Yeah, but look what you've done since then.
What have I done? I sent Junior out on that payroll job, didn't I? It was pie for him. He knew when the guards would come to the factory with the car. I cased the job. So what happened? The guards got the dough from the payroll clerk. I drove up, let Junior out, and he walked into the factory office. Sure, they shot at him, but bullets don't hurt a steel body. Junior's clever. I've taught him a lot. You should have seen those guards when they got a look at Junior. And then the way they stood there after shooting at him. He took them one after the other, just like that. A couple of squeezes, and all 4 were out cold. Then he got the clerk. The clerk was pressing the alarm, but I'd cut the wires. Junior pressed the clerk for a while. That was that. Junior walked out with the payroll. The guards and the clerk had swell funerals. The law had another swell mystery, and we have the cash and stand in the clear. What's wrong with that setup, Charlie?
You're fooling with dynamite.
I don't like that attitude, Charlie. Duke spoke softly, slowly. You're strictly small time, Charlie. That's why you're running a crummy roadhouse and a cheap hideout racket. Can't you understand that we've got a gold mine here? A steel servant. The perfect criminal, Charlie. Ready to do perfect crimes whenever I say the word. Junior can't be killed by bullets. Junior doesn't worry about the cops or anything like that. He doesn't have any nerves. He doesn't get tired, never sleeps. He doesn't even want a cut of the swag. Whatever I tell him, he believes and he obeys. I've lined up lots of jobs for the future. We'll hide out here. I'll case the jobs, then send Junior out and let him go to work. You and Lola and I are gonna be rich. Fat Charlie's mouth quivered for a moment. He gulped and tugged at his collar. His voice came hoarsely.
No, Duke.
What do you mean, no?
Count me out. It's too dangerous. You'll have to lay 'em out here with Lola and the robot. I'm getting jumpy over all this. The law is apt to pounce down any day here.
So that's it, hey?
Partly.
Fat Charlie stared earnestly at Duke. His gaze shattered against the stony glint of Duke's gray eyes.
You ain't got no heart at all, Duke, he croaked. You can plan anything in cold blood, can't you? Well, I'm different. You've got to understand that. I got nerves, and I can't stand thinking about what that robot does. I can't stand the robot either. The way it looks at you with that god-awful iron face, that grin, and the way it clanks around in its room, clanking up and down all night. When a guy's trying to sleep, just clanking and clanking. There it is now.
There was a metallic hammering, but it came from the hall outside. The ancient floors creaked beneath the iron tread as the metal monstrosity lumbered into the room. Fat Charlie whirled and stared in undisguised repulsion. Duke raised his hand. "Hello, Junior," he said.
"Hello, Duke."
"I've been talking to Charlie, Junior."
"Yes, Duke?"
"He doesn't like to have us stay here, Junior. He wants to throw us out."
"He does?"
"You know what I think, Junior."
"What?"
"I think Charlie's yellow."
"Yellow, Duke?"
"That's right. You know what we do with guys that turn yellow, don't you, Junior?"
"Yes, you told me."
"Maybe you'd like to tell Charlie."
"Tell him what we do with guys that turn yellow?"
"Yes."
"We rub them out."
"You see, Charlie," said Duke softly, "he learns fast, doesn't he? Quick on the uptake, Junior is. He knows all about it. He knows what we do with yellow rats."
Fat Charlie wobbled to his feet. "Wait a minute, Duke," he pleaded. "Can't you take a rib? I was only kidding, Duke. I didn't mean it. You can see I didn't. I'm your friend, Duke. I'm hiding you out. Why, I could have turned stooly weeks ago and put the heat on you if I wasn't protecting you. But I'm your friend. You can stay here as long as you want. Forever."
"Sing it, Charlie," said Duke. "Sing it louder and funnier." He turned to the robot. "Well, Junior, do you think he's yellow?"
"I think he's yellow."
"Then maybe you'd better—" Fat Charlie got the knife out of his sleeve with remarkable speed. It blinded Duke with its shining glare as the fat man balanced it on his thumb and drew his arm back to hurl it at Duke's throat. Junior's arm went back too. Then it came down. The steel fist crashed against Charlie's bald skull. Crimson blood spurted as the fat man slumped to the floor. It was pretty slick. Duke thought so, and Junior thought so, because Duke commanded him to believe it. But Lola didn't like it.
"You can't do this to me," she whispered, huddling closer to Duke in the darkness of her room. "I won't stay here with that monster, I tell you."
"I'll only be gone a day," Duke answered. "There's nothing to worry about. The roadhouse downstairs is closed. Nobody will bother you."
"That doesn't frighten me," Lola said. "It's being with that thing. I've got the horrors thinking about it."
"Well, I've got to go and get the tickets," Duke argued. "I've got to make reservations and cash these big bills. Then we're set. Tomorrow night I'll come back, sneak you out of the house, and we'll be off. Mexico City, next stop. I've made connections for passports and everything. In 48 hours we'll be out of this mess."
"What about Junior?"
"My silver stooge," Duke chuckled. "I'll fix him before we leave. It's a pity I can't send him out on his own. He's got a swell education. He could be one of the best yeggs in the business. And why not? Look who his teacher was." Duke laughed. The girl shuddered in his arms.
"What are you going to do with him?" she persisted.
"Simple. He'll do whatever I say, won't he? When I get back, just before we leave, I'll lock him in the furnace. Then I'll set fire to this joint. Destroy the evidence, see? The law will think Charlie got caught in the flames. Get me? There won't be anything left. And if they ever poke around the ruins and find Junior in the furnace, he ought to be melted down pretty good."
"Isn't there another way? Couldn't you get rid of him now, before you leave?"
"I wish I could, for your sake, baby. I know how you feel. But what can I do? I've tried to figure all the angles. You can't shoot him, or poison him, or drown him, or chop him down with an axe. Where could you blow him up in private? Of course, I might open him up and see what makes him tick, but Junior wouldn't let me play such a dirty trick on him. He's smart, Junior is. Got what you call a criminal mind. Just a big crook, like me." Again Duke laughed in harsh arrogance. Keep your chin up, Lola. Junior wouldn't hurt you. He likes you. I've been teaching him to like you. He thinks you're pretty.
That's what frightens me, Duke, the way he looks at me, follows me around in the hall, like a dog.
Like a wolf, you mean? Ha, that's a good one. Junior's really growing up. He's stuck on you, Lola.
Duke, don't talk like that. You make me feel, horrible inside.
Duke raised his head and stared into the darkness, a curious half-smile playing about his lips. Funny, he mused. You know, I bet the old professor would have liked to stick around and watched me educate Junior. That was his theory, wasn't it? The robot had a blank chemical brain, simple as a baby's. He was going to educate it like a child and bring it up right. Then I took over and really completed the job. But it would have tickled the old professor to see how fast Junior's been catching on. He's like a man already. Smart. That robot's got most men beat a mile. He's almost as smart as I am, but not quite. He'll find that out after I tell him to step into the furnace. Lola rose and raced to the door. She flung it open, revealing an empty hallway, and gasped with relief.
I was afraid he might be listening,
she whispered. Not a chance, Duke told her. I've got him down in the cellar, putting the dirt over Charlie. He grasped Lola's shoulders and kissed her swiftly, savagely. Now keep your chin up, baby. I'll leave. Be back tomorrow about 8. You be ready to leave then, and we'll clear out of here.
I can't let you go, whispered Lola frantically.
You must. We've gone through with everything this far. All you must do is keep a grip on yourself for 24 hours more. And there's one thing I've got to ask you to do.
Anything, Duke. Anything you say.
Be nice to Junior while I'm gone.
Ooh, Duke.
You said you'd do anything, didn't you? Well, that you must do. Be nice to Junior. Then he won't suspect what's going on. You've got to be nice to him, Lola. Don't show him that you're afraid. He likes you, but if he gets wrong ideas, he's dangerous. So, be nice to Junior. Abruptly, Duke turned and strode through the doorway. His footsteps clattered on the stairs. The outer door slammed below. The sound of a starting motor drifted up from the roadhouse yard. Then, silence. Lola stood in the darkness, trembling with sudden horror, as she waited for the moment when she would be nice to the metallic Junior. It wasn't so bad, not half as bad as she'd feared it might be. All she had to do was smile at Junior and let him follow her around. Carefully suppressing her shudders, Lola prepared breakfast the next morning and then went about her packing. The robot followed her upstairs, clanking and creaking. Oil me, Lola heard him say. That was the worst moment, but she had to go through with it.
Can't you wait until Duke gets back tonight?
She asked, striving to keep her voice from breaking.
He always oils you.
I want you to oil me, Lola, persisted Junior.
All right.
She got the oil can with the long spout, and if her fingers trembled as she performed the office, Junior didn't notice it. The robot gazed at her with his immobile countenance. No human emotion etched itself on the implacable steel, and no human emotion altered the mechanical tones of the harsh voice. I like to have you oil me, Lola, said Junior. Lola bent her head to avoid looking at him. If she had to look in a mirror and realize that this nightmare tableau was real, she would have fainted. Oiling a living mechanical monster, a monster that said, I like to have you oil me, Lola. After that, she couldn't finish packing for a long while. She had to sit down. Junior, who never sat down except by command, stood silently and regarded her with gleaming eye lenses. She was conscious of the robot's scrutiny. Where are we going when we leave here, Lola? He asked.
Far away,
she said, forcing her voice out to keep the quaver from it. That will be nice, said Junior. I don't like it here. I want to see things, cities and mountains and deserts. I would like to ride a roller coaster, too.
Roller coaster?
Lola was really startled.
Where did you ever hear of a roller coaster?
I read about it in a book.
Oh.
Lola gulped. She had forgotten that this monstrosity could read too, and think like a man. Will Duke take me on a roller coaster? He asked.
I don't know. Maybe.
Lola.
Yes?
You like Duke?
Why, certainly.
You like me?
Oh, why, you know I do, Junior.
The robot was silent. Lola felt a tremor run through her body. Who do you like best, Lola, me or Duke? Lola gulped. Something forced the reply from her.
I like you, she said, but I love Duke.
Love. The robot nodded gravely.
You know what love is, Junior.
Yes, I read about it in books. Man and woman love. Lola breathed a little easier. Lola.
Yes?
Do you think anyone will ever fall in love with me? Lola wanted to laugh or cry. Most of all, she wanted to scream. But she had to answer.
Maybe.
She lied. But I'm different. You know that. I'm a robot. Do you think that makes a difference?
Women don't really care about such things when they fall in love, Junior.
She improvised.
As long as a woman believes that her lover is the smartest and the strongest, that's all that matters.
Oh, the robot started for the door.
Where are you going?
To wait for Duke. He said he would come back today. Lola smiled furtively as the robot clanked down the hallway stairs. That was over with. Thinking back, she'd handled things rather well. In a few hours, Duke would return, and then goodbye, Junior. Poor Junior, just a silver stooge with a man's brain. He wanted love, the poor fish. Well, he was playing with fire, and he'd be burned soon enough. Lola began to hum. She scampered downstairs and locked up, wearing her gloves to avoid leaving any telltale fingerprints. It was almost dark when she returned to her room to pack. She snapped on the light and changed her clothes. Junior was still downstairs, patiently waiting for Duke to arrive. Lola completed her preparations and sank wearily onto the bed. She must take a rest, her eyes closed. Waiting was too much of a strain. She hated to think of what she had gone through with the robot, that mechanical monster with its man-brain, the hateful burring voice, the steely stare. How could she ever forget the way it asked, "Do you think anyone will ever fall in love with me?" Lola tried to blot out recollection. Just a little while now, and Duke would be here. He'd get rid of Junior. Meanwhile, she had to rest. Rest. Lola sat up and blinked at the light. She heard footsteps on the stairs. "Duke!" she called. Then she heard the clanking in the hallway, and her heart skipped a beat. The door opened very quickly, and the robot stalked in. "Duke!" she screamed. The robot stared at her. She felt his alien, inscrutable gaze upon her face. Lola tried to scream again, but no sound came from her twisted mouth. And then the robot was droning in a burring, inhuman voice. "You told me that a woman loves the strongest and the smartest," burred the monster. "You told me that, Lola." The robot came closer. "Well, I am stronger and smarter than he was." Lola tried to look away, but she saw the object he carried in his metal paws. It was round, and it had Duke's grin. The last thing Lola remembered as she fell was the sound of the robot's harsh voice droning over and over, "I love you, I love you, I love you." The funny part of it was, it sounded almost human.